Brothers and sisters, good evening. Welcome to Sankofa Videos and Books. And so begins our event this evening. We have Natalie Leger. Did I pronounce that right? How do I say it? How do I say it?
Leger.
Leger. Natalie Leger in conversation with Carol Boyce Davies. I do remember that. And it's going to be for this lovely book right here, Haiti and the Revolution Unseen, The Persistence of the Decolonial Imagination. That subtitle alone has me very interested, and I'm going to get out of y'all way right now. Let's get this conversation started. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Meet Khadija George. She's a visiting Fulbright scholar from London. She just came in recently to this call. But Khadija is a poet. She is from Sierra Leone. She does a lot of projects in the Gambia. And we just want you all to know she's in the audience. Welcome, Khadija. So try to meet her in the intermission or after. And for me, it's one of these rare pleasures, right? When you have somebody who used to be a student, who Natalie Leger is, and you saw this as a dissertation. I think is the same project, but usually it changes quite a bit by the time it gets to be a book. But when I first got to Cornell, she was like one of the first people who found me and be like, "I want you to be on my committee. I need you." Stuff, because I think back at that point, the English department didn't have too many people that you had good range of knowledge in the African diaspora literatures, which is what I do. Those are my fields. Anyway, I'm Carol Boyce Davies. I'm the chair of the Department of Literature and English at Cornell University, at Howard University. With still an appointment at Cornell. That's why I had that slip. But I was in a meeting with the president and actually had that slip, which was not good. I said Cornell, because I'm so used to that running off my self-description. Anyway, chair of the Department of Literature and Writing at Howard University, otherwise known as the Department of English. But I was telling Natalie, I always swore I'd never really be a chair of an English department. I had many opportunities in the past. And in fact, at one university, I was a candidate, and I got up and I said to them, well, if I'm the chair, you're going to have to change the name to Department of Literatures or something. And of course, I didn't get voted at all. So coming to Howard with this as an opportunity, it's a good opportunity to create a forward-looking department, and we hope to do many more programs with Sankofa. We have several other things in the planning. But this is Natalie Leger, and I'm really proud of you and your work. Congratulations. She's an associate professor at Temple University's Department of English. And first I want to know, because the title is Haiti and the Revolution Unseen. What is this unseen revolution, first of all? And I'm caught by this cover because I love that it looks like it's a representation of a soldier, but there's a woman with a scarf. Talk a little bit about that cover and why you chose it and how it relates to what you're doing.
Okay, thank you for having me. So this cover is by Gina Sampson. She's a Haitian artist, and I loved it when I saw it because I felt like it captured who I imagine the Haitian revolutionary to be, but who is not often depicted as the Haitian revolutionary, which is either an African man or woman that is representative of the everyday Haitian, right? Who, like 90% of Haitians descend from the African population. So 90% of us today are West African and Central African. But when we imagine the Haitian Revolution, we always think of the affranchi, and that is the free person of color most often, or the free emancipated slave. But more often than not, the Haitian revolutionary was an average African-born individual, the kind of person that is looked past. So I felt like this cover or this art encapsulated the revolutionary that we don't talk about and who needs to become foregrounded in how we imagine the revolution.
Wonderful. So tell us then, what is this Revolution Unseen that's in the title? And I know you have some slides that you're going to talk about too. elaborate on that point.
Yes. So the unseen revolution requires that you know a little bit about Haiti. And to know a little bit about Haiti is to know how I'm Haitian, is to know how we imagine ourselves. And we imagine ourselves as, you know, like when we say Haiti, it's Ayiti Ginen. It's not simply Ayiti, which is Ayiti is the indigenous Taino name. But our African ancestors said, okay, we are Ayiti, but we are Ginen, meaning African. But that African part is completely sidelined and obscured in Caribbean classics of the revolution. So in the 20th century, you have the rise of U.S. imperialism in the Caribbean, and you have this need by Caribbean artists throughout the region to envision what revolution could look like. So because you have this drive to envision revolution and to give like a kind of framework for the possibility of revolution, you have this turn to Haiti. And you have all of these plays, these novellas, and even, you know, C.L.R. James's history of the Haitian Revolution. All of them focus on the Haitian revolutionary as a Creole, meaning as somebody who's Caribbean born, somebody who is either mixed race or Africanized, of African descent, but never anybody who is African. And that creates a kind of unseeing of the revolution, right? Because on the eve of the revolution, right, the revolution happens, oh my God, how do I, what is, it's not even moving, okay. On the eve of the revolution is 1791 to 1804, 2/3 of the enslaved population is African born. So that's 2/3 of 500,000 people are from Africa. But when you read these texts and these histories of the revolution, they're all like, all the revolutionaries are French speaking, they are Caribbean. They're like, they are the quintessential idea of how people in the 20th century Caribbean conceived of the Caribbean as a melting pot. But in the Haitian Revolution, these people are African. And in 19th century Haiti, right, immediately after the Haitian Revolution, 90% of the people are literally Africans, right? So when you remove the African out of the revolution, you get this very Eurocentric representation of what the Haitian Revolution is. And that becomes an issue, largely because most of these writers, and the writers I focus are Aimé Césaire. We know Aimé Césaire, right? The Martinican, amazing, you know. I love him, but he doesn't know Haiti, right? Like, he doesn't know Haiti in large part because he continues to envision Haiti through France, through the French Revolution, through republicanism, which is not that, like, and Glissant doesn't do that, but he's responding to how C.L.R. James and how Césaire are writing the revolution. So what he writes about when he writes the Haitian Revolution in response to French colonialism in Martinique is this very Eurocentric French notion of the revolution. And then you have Leo Carpentier, he's Cuban. When he writes the Haitian Revolution, he's also responding to a very Republican, and by Republican, I don't mean like in our everyday parlance, you guys know what I mean? I mean French revolutionary republicanism, which is about liberty, égalité, fraternité, you know, all that jazz, all that. They still wanted people to be property while they were saying that, so can we talk about it? But you know. That's what they were. He still has this idea of the Haitian Revolution. And James, when he writes The Black Jacobins in 1938, he is very much invested in this Republican French revolutionary idea of the Haitian Revolution, which is why he focuses on Toussaint, right? It's not until years later when he has his lectures and he says, if I were to write the Haitian Revolution again, I would not focus on Toussaint. I would have focused on Moïse. Yes, that would have been the Haitian Revolution, right? So the point is that when you read these texts, all of them are deeply political. All of them are trying to inspire anti-colonial consciousness. They're trying to raise Black consciousness. But all of their figures that we're supposed to navigate this type of consciousness through are European figures. They're Black people, but they're Black people who do everything that a Western European individual would do. So by the end of the narrative, you leave the narrative like, oh man, revolution is not possible because we're going to end up becoming tyrants, you know? We're going to end up colonizing our people. Well, if you're going to follow the affranchis who then became the political leaders of Haiti, hell yeah, you're going to become that. Yeah. But if you're going to follow the 90% that were fighting during the Haitian Revolution against the French, against the affranchis later, you're going to get a whole other revolution. You're going to see how a French revolutionary tradition of the Haitian Revolution is counter to the Haitian Revolution, right? You're going to see a fuller picture. So I focus on how these narratives are great because they inspire us to want to know more about the revolution. They inspire us to become these anti-colonial activists in our mind if we're not going to go out in the field. But they're also problematic because they're very Eurocentric. And because they're Eurocentric, they completely write Haiti out of the revolution, right, Ayiti Ginen, from how we conceive of the revolution.
That is wonderful. Okay, you have some more?
Oh, so this whole mad Haitian rebel comes from Derek Walcott. You know, he's not in the book because I love Derek Walcott, but I don't love him enough to write about him. So problematic. He wrote the Haitian Revolution like so many times. You guys know this? Like he wrote the play, he wrote several plays. He even tried to do a movie. In all of them, in every one of them, he has this kind of rendering of the revolution. So he says he has this. This is Drums and Colors. He has this maroon leader who is described as multicolored, which is important. He's a maroon leader. He's multicolored, and he leads a maroon band of Black, Chinese, and white maroons. And a new Black maroon wants to join his band, as well as this white former planter. And the Black maroon, would-be maroon, says to him, "I don't want this white man in joining us. You know he enslaved us." And the maroon leader, Mano, says, "Oh God, but it's hard sometimes to love one another. If he get on like a beast, bind him hand and foot. I can't have no rumption in this place. He getting on like some mad Haitian rebel." Right? So what is a Haitian rebel in this context? Right? A Haitian rebel is mad because he wants vengeance. He's mad because he sees the white planter as not serious about Black liberation and the island's liberation on the whole. But for Mano, who is modeled to become, this is where Walcott kind of gets it, right? Mano is modeled after the brown-skinned bougie elite of Trinidad and St. Lucia, who mouth the words revolution, but who are lining their pockets, right? Like he sees it in real time during the West Indian Federation. Like he sees how these political leaders are saying we can all be united, but at the same time, they're not creating the context to actually help the dispossessed, who are mostly African, right, in St. Lucia and Trinidad. So to me, this becomes a problem because the Haitian rebel cannot simply have a Western European cultural antecedent, right, which is what Walcott is suggesting. In the 18th century, you have too many Africans who are leaders of maroon settlements to not know, and Walcott knows this, that Africans have their own cultural or political ways of being. And yet how he imagines the Haitian rebel is only as somebody who aspires to be this bloodthirsty colonizer, right? To be mad because I want to seek vengeance on the white man. And first of all, vengeance is needed at a certain point, right? But we can't say that. Can we say it? I'm Haitian, so I'm gonna say it, right? I'm gonna say it, right? So this becomes part of the problem of the revolution. And I think this becomes a bigger problem in large part because it reduces Haiti to this kind of, it flattens out the differences that exist in Haiti during the revolution and after, or Saint Domingue. So the difference in class, like all revolutionaries were not fighting the same revolution, right? But when we talk about the Haitian Revolution and we only think about the class of freed peoples who the leaders of this class were plantation owners, they had slaves, like. So when they found themselves at the helm of a Black revolution, they were like, they weren't like, yay! They were like, okay, we need to slow these people down, right? These are counter-revolutionaries. But if they continue to be how we perceive the revolution, we will always have this misunderstanding of what it could be. And what I try to do is fixate on this idea of Guinea, right? And I try to invite people to recognize that if you actually study the revolution and you study Haitian popular culture, if you look through it, like whether it's through voodoo or folk tales, you will see this kind of resistant consciousness. And in the book, I begin by asking readers to recognize how Haitians see themselves. Like, how is it that a Haitian can understand themselves as an African while saying I'm Haitian? Like, this is a thing, like in Haiti, we're Africans, right? We know this. Part of it comes to these ancestors who, I give this example of this phrase that in Haiti, you can say what, you can say kisa to say what, but you can also say sa blanc dit, what did the white say? Which is to say the Africans created this context where in order to resist the French, they didn't believe anything the French had to say. They created their own cultural complex, which meant saying, I see you want me to think like you, but I don't have to think like you. So anytime a French person spoke, "Sablon dit," what did this white man say? That creates a whole other trajectory for resistance, because it creates this kind of framework where you don't have to be made in the image of your colonizer, right? But if you study Caribbean classics of the Revolution, they follow this framework, which is very like Hegelian, like, right? Hegel says the master gets his, what does Hegel say? The master gets he knows himself through the slave through the master, right? The anti-colonial revolutionist, Fanon does this, says, oh, I know myself through the other. The Guinean says, Sablandi, what does the white say? I don't need you to know who I am, right? That type of resistant decolonial consciousness is never talked about. And for me, that's the only way the revolution succeeded, because the majority said, I don't need you to know who I am. Right? But if you read 20th century Caribbean classics of the revolution, they're like, I need the master to see me. I need the master to see that I'm like them, and I aspire to be like them. And I'm reading it like, Sablandi, these are not my ancestors, right? I don't see myself.
I like that. I was taken by that, Sablandi. I had one of my questions on that, actually. And I was thinking when I read it, it could be used to respond to a whole recent group of repressive executive orders with resistant questioning, like, what did that white man say? I thought that was really a timely way that we could have a resistant logic that comes from the past that we could use again. But I was going to, did you have more? Are you
That's it.
No, I was going to say that Walcott, problematically, and apologies to anybody who is a Walcott fan, but he has a famous poem called A Far Cry from Africa, where he does the same thing with the Kenyan Land and Freedom Army, the so-called Mau Mau. And he creates this opposition between what he calls the gorilla and the Superman in battle and so on. So he had a number of struggles early. I think he kind of resolved them a little bit more towards the end by the time he gets to the end of his career. But in his early career, yes, very conflicted on this issue. Also trying to build something, he was trying to create a kind of mulatto consciousness, which is another set of issues. Anyway, I was going to walk people through a little bit of what you try to do in the preface as well. Should we do that now? Yeah. Sure. I like that you raised the question of your own insider-outsider-ness in relation to the Haitian diaspora, right? And I wanted you to probably talk about it. I say this because I've seen Edwidge Danticat with raising the same problematic, where she says she's actually said, sometimes in Haiti she feels like she's on her knees trying to explain herself, because they're like, you're writing in English, you're not writing, all the questions that people raise about her writing, even though it's so well respected internationally. So talk a little bit about this, you as a writer, right? As a writer scholar, and writing on Haiti as a diasporan. I would imagine you would call yourself that. Ayiti Ginen too. Yeah. So I like that. So talk a little bit about that and how it influenced what you were doing in your work.
Well, I didn't want to write this because Haitians are very like, I don't know, is anybody Haitian? Okay. We are like, when you're Haitian, if you're in Haiti, you're Haitian. If you're outside of Haiti, you're like, suspect. You're called a diaspora. You're like, they don't trust your Haitianness. So when you're part of the diaspora, you kind of feel insecure in your Haitianness. So when I was writing, and Carol and my other committee members said, you need to put more of yourself in this book and put more of Haiti. I said, no, I can't do this. Took me like 10 years. I resisted them. I'm gonna tell you flat out, listen to your advisors. They know what they're asking. But I was like, no, I can't put, I'm just a diaspora. I don't know enough about Haiti to put myself. But then I realized, girl, you clearly know enough about Haiti to recognize that this writing is off, right? Like there's something wrong with these classics. So I had to recognize that the outside position that I had as someone in the diaspora was actually a good lens to actually read how other outsiders were trying to make sense of Haiti. And it also made me realize that the stance had to be complicated, because there was a moment when I was starting to do Haitian, non-Haitian, but I was like, that's not what it is. Like, when you start to imagine yourself through other people, you imagine your chances for liberation through other people, your imagining is going to be violent at times. It's going to be problematic, because you're working through your own issues. So I did not want to dismiss these writers like Césaire, Carpentier, Glissant, among others, because I recognize their position on the outside has made them receptive to some things about Haiti, but unreceptive to other things, right? So just like the Haitian in Haiti looks at me and is like, blanc. Like, they call you a blanc. A blanc? I'm like, I'm not white. They call you that, right? So, just like a Haitian thinks I'm suspect and is not going to believe me when I tell this story, is going to be like very skeptical. I had to recognize that the person writing outside of Haiti, but who's still part of the Caribbean, I need to give them some grace too, right? Because it can't simply just be, we are the only ones who can tell the story. The story is now part of all of the Caribbean and all of the African diaspora, right? Because it's a story of Black liberation.
Right. I always found that a difficult position. Just saying, though, you're one of the few people who's able to check C.L.R. James. So, especially in D.C., one of his really major locational teaching sites. So it's an interesting argument. But when Natalie was writing, I did think you were probably being a little bit too hard on people like Walcott and James for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it completely reading in this new version. And that's a really nice thing to be able to see how you've manifested it. Anyway, the language using Ginen is really interesting because, as you know, Edwidge also uses that a lot in her work as a representation of not an ending even if people are dying, but they're going back to Guinea. And you see it in several other texts in the Caribbean corpus. But talk a little bit about that, because the language of Guinean, right? I'm not sure I'm saying it right, which is Creole for Guinea, is a signifier for Africa generally, right?
Yeah.
So you use Ayiti Ginen, which you referenced earlier, but what is that doing for your whole formation of your book? Because I noticed you have a section just on that as well.
Yeah. So I wanted readers to understand that the Haitian Revolution was a counter-revolutionary event, meaning it countered the project of the West, right? And because it countered the project of the West, it literally created a context where Haiti could exist as a new world. And I say this because the Africans who end up becoming Haitians declared themselves to be Africans before they were ever Haitians. And because they said, okay, you want to call us indigenous too? Then we're indigenous Africans. They kept insisting on their own terms for who they were. And what Guinea does, it signals how we literally have the capacity to create our own worlds through our language. We can literally use words to create the world we want to live in, right? So, of course, Guinea means Africa, literally, right? But it also references a Haitian. It means an African person. Like when you say you're Ayiti Ginen, so you say Guinea moye. When I say I am a Haitian, I say I am an African. Like you just say it, right? It also means loi. It means the mystical. It means the demigods, right? Guinea means so many things in Haiti, in large part because it signals a kind of Haiti's own unique cosmological way of understanding the world and navigating the world. So I wanted to include that in the book because I think it's really important to recognize, because we are in the West and we have been deeply colonized and we've been made to think that only Eurocentric models for knowledge exist, we think that there's only one way of imagining how the world can exist. But if you simply refuse the terms and conditions that you've been given, and you invent new terms and conditions and say, I'm Guinean. Say, this Haiti, okay, Dessalines, you're going to rename this island Haiti? We're going to call it Ayiti Ginen. Oh, you Republicans of Haiti, you're going to say we're habitant. Habitant is like someone who works the land, but also it's like a pejorative. Let me reverse that. When the Republican Haitian revolutionists were trying to seize power, they declared themselves habitants, which means colonist, right? Then the Guinean Haitians said, oh, no. We till the land. We are habitants, right? Anytime they took the language, they took it back from them, right? They gave it a new meaning. And we do this in the United States. You see African Americans all the time, like, my nigga, like, we re-semanticize. We give the word new meaning. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we think that the world always has to go in one direction, the future can only be one way. No. So I insist on readers knowing about Guinea and knowing about how people can invented their own world simply by deciding to say no and use language to their own kind of transformative way.
Wonderful, wonderful. Another thing you say, though, you say Haiti is a mirror. It's a warning, it's an inspiration. That's a direct quote from one of your chapters. But I was thinking, too, and maybe you can link these two, that there's a kind of constant valorization of those men who identified as the leaders of Haiti, generally Toussaint Louverture. And I thought over-valorization of him because he ended up getting taken to jail on the boat and all that, and dying in France in a cell. And then, of course, Dessalines, but you never see anybody else. So this constant valorization of the male leaders, the Christophs and so on, carries with it for me, because I've worked on this question of women and leadership, an amazing erasure of women, first of all, and a continuing an assumption, unless you have people like you working on that this was a revolution that was completely male-led. So I like that you spent some time on that. And you mentioned the Grenada Revolution and Carol Lambert?
Lori Lambert.
Lori Lambert's book, Comrade Sister,
yeah.
on that as well. So
Yes.
you want to maybe combine those two and maybe talk
Yes.
about that?
So there's this kind of misunderstanding of who the Haitian revolutionary is. It's not simply that they're this Creolized person, but that they're only men. In fact, if you go to the archives, the names are the names that everyone assumes they're names of men, but they're also the names of women there. But we have misread the names to be just men, right? And if you read some of the passages of the French generals, they say the women were the worst. The women were the fiercest. They had the most to defend. And even Toussaint couldn't stand, to a certain degree, the women, because they organized and they said, during the revolution, when Toussaint's organization created these return plantation industry, and he did it because he was like, we need the money because we need to buy weapons. Well, the women said, I'm not going to be a wage laborer. I need to tend to my gardens. I need to feed my children. Like, they created these unions, literally, and they petitioned, and they were a problem. But nobody talks about them. Like, they're completely erased. So what I try to do with my Dantica chapter is I try to talk about what happens when we kind of follow what Dantica does in her reading of the revolution, and we follow the women that are erased. And for Dantica, if you follow the women that are erased, you get a radical revolution of saying we can be more than the French. We don't have to be made in the image of the French. So I feel like when women are foregrounded in the revolution, it forces the narrative to go beyond the West, beyond France, beyond these revolutionary leaders who were great. You know, Toussaint was great. They served their purpose, but they are highly problematic because all they could imagine for the future of Haiti was for it to be like France, right? That's not a future for the majority who said France what, right? But the women did not imagine in that particular kind of way, the women that were part of the revolution. And if you follow Dantica, she leads you outside of how the male narrative, the masculinist narrative of the revolution is too entangled with Eurocentrism to actually be productive when imagining what Haiti could be and what revolution could be.
Wow. And in many ways, you still see versions of that operating in the current Haiti.
Yes.
Which is like, the new format is like about 9 or 10 male leaders and 1 woman, I believe, circulating. So it repeats the same unfortunate logic. And many of us were always, including people like me as a young thinker, wondering why those people arranged to repay France for being free. And that has led to the long-standing debt, which only not too long ago got paid off and so on. But that was a bad decision.
Very bad.
So, but that's coming from that group, I imagine, based on your analysis.
Yes, it comes from the Republicans, the French Revolutionary, those who, so Pétion, Boyer, they just deeply felt that they needed the recognition of France. that Haiti was not survivable without getting the recognition of France. Mind you, there was a way they were being pestered by the French, right? The French were coming around and with warships in Haitian waters, but that was like they could navigate that, but they wanted recognition. So Henri Christophe did not believe that. He resisted. He was like, why do we need the recognition of the French? But the Republicans were different. Like, literally, they got their sense of self. Most of them were gens de couleur, meaning free people of color. They were generationally free. They identified with their French ancestors. They didn't really identify with their African ancestors. In fact, most of them were ashamed of their African ancestors. They were anti-racist in the sense that they were anti-white supremacy, because white supremacy denied them. But they were not anti the Western project. So because they wanted Haiti to be part of the Western project, they thought they needed recognition from France. So they agreed to pay for the lost property, which was like $30 million, like ridiculous, right? But they were very much a product of their colonization and their racialization.
Right. It set Haiti up for a long time to
Failure.
still be recovering.
Yes.
Wow. But back to that question about Haiti as mirror, warning, and inspiration, because those are three distinct different terms. Yes. Warning, mirror, inspiration. And I love the mirror part because I kept arguing in something else that I wrote that Haiti is probably one of the most clarifying representations of the black condition globally.
Yes.
Like a legendary greatness, struggle, and then back to difficulties.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was, what did I say? Mirror? Did I say that? I said that. I clearly said it.
Mirror warning and
yeah. So I always see Haiti as mirror because it forces you to face yourself. Like you, and this is a test for me. I don't tell people I'm Haitian. I kind of see what they say about Haitians before I say right, because I get a full understanding of your politics by how you talk about Haiti. And if you are a Caribbean person and I see you talking a particular way about Haitians, I'm like, oh, you have no type of anti-colonial political radicalism, right? So it is a mirror for me that helps clarify people's positions. It is also a warning because I felt like for a lot of these writers like Césaire, always Haiti was a warning. Like when he goes to Haiti, he's like, this is what we can't be, right? And by what we can't be, he's terrified of the prospect of a ruling elite that is so removed from the people that they can be comfortable seeing everyday people subjugated, right? Césaire is like, we cannot become like this, right? So it's a warning for what not to do in terms of for post-colonial governance, right? What was the other one? Inspiration. Like it is the basis for how in the Caribbean, through the world over. Like I end the book talking about Timbuktu by the Malayan filmmaker. Yes, I just forgot his name. Yeah. The filmmaker, because Timbuktu is a 2012 film that talks about the 2012 or 2010 jihad invasion of Mali. Like, and then in the middle of it, there's the Haitian woman. She's a mad woman, and she says in the film. I was experiencing the earthquake in Haiti, and all of a sudden I ended up in Mali, in Timbuktu. Now, what is this filmmaker doing? Right? She's supposed to be emblematic of the Haitian Revolution, of how revolutions reverberate in a particular kind of way. So, the film is, in a way, it's supposed to offer the critique of the jihad, right? But it doesn't offer a real critique of the jihad and the jihadists. It offers a critique of how the Berlin Conference and colonial powers essentially created an Africa that is not actually navigable. You can't navigate it if you're African, because some parts of Africa are completely landlocked. Some parts of Africa have people that are forced to come together as a people who never were historically a people, right? It created conditions for unnatural relations. So she's there talking about the earth is cracked, right? And she's trying to signify there needs to be another crack that happens here in Mali, right? So there's a way in which Haiti signifies and it's inspiration for the need to resist, but not resist in a kind of conventional way. We all need our permits to go marching, but do crazy shit, like resist. Like be the mad person saying, none of this makes sense. Why are we all agreeing to continue to live like this, right?
I love that. And because of that really reading that last chapter, I went and looked at the film this evening, which I looked at just before I came here. It's quite an interesting film because it's about jihadism. But what was really striking for me, I was in Mali and in Timbuktu 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
There was a forum on global civilizations, and I was speaking on the UNESCO project we did. But I always wanted to go to Timbuktu because, and I'm sure everybody else here does as well. It's like, because it's one of those words that in black cultures, parents always say, from here to Timbuktu or whatever. And it's like identified as like the farthest point you need to go to but can't get to or something. So when I was in grad school, I tried to go with a friend, and we got as far as Niger, and it was just hot and dusty, and we just went back. But we were going by road, which is crazy. So it was like something I always had to do. But I want to recommend that you see that film for sure, and definitely read Natalie's chapter. But I was thinking when I saw that woman, and it's really significant that you talk about her that way, she comes across, I mean, she's dragging fabric all through the town, and she has ribbons in her hair. So she's totally a transgressive subject in a kind of fundamentalist Muslim tradition in Africa as well. So it totally complicates the meaning of going back to Africa, for sure. Yeah. And in the Pan-Africanist Gavious sense, and gives you a whole other understanding. But also puts that, like you said, Haitian revolutionary subject in the middle there, just questioning, looking on, not agreeing with none of that, staying on the side, doing her own food, raising her own chickens or whatever. So definitely see it, and thank you for your chapter that made me go back and look at the film. I just looked at it this evening. It's about an hour and a half long. So just wanted to say that. But I wanted just to maybe close and turn over to the audience. Is that how y'all do it, with questions, right? Wonderful. I assumed you did. You talk about the Africanness of Haiti, which you developed quite substantially. But what is this Africanness of Haiti? Africanness of Haiti. People think probably only in terms of Vodun or the subject of the demographics that you talked about earlier. But what is this African aspect of Haiti? If we can close off there, and then we'll go to questions.
So the way I talk about it through this kind of questioning. It's this skepticism of the West. Right? So I talk about how the gift that Africans gave their descendants in Haiti is to always be skeptical of the West, is to always be critically resistant, is to look at people and be like, you want me to do what? Right? And that creates the kind of intellectual imaginary to act otherwise, right? To act outside the norm, which Haitians always do, right? The success of the Republican elite of the Haitian Revolution never succeeds in breaking Haitians. It's only until the 1915 U.S. occupation of Haiti when they get the help of the U.S. Army, right? That is the turning point. And even to this day, the only way the ruling elite of Haiti can actually subjugate the people is through the armies of occupiers, which is to say that if you simply look at the edicts, the law, what the law says, you're going to think these people are so repressive and they have so much power. But if you look at the power in practice, they can't do anything. Like, they're really vastly, like, they're so out of their depth. And I think that's really important because it shows you quite clearly resistance as it is enacted, or as it was enacted in Haiti, was simply because Africans said, look, we're all going to get together and we're just going to say no. And when we say no, anytime they ask us to do something, we're going to act like we don't understand what they want us to do. And Haitians do this all the time to this day. Like, it's a cultural practice to be like, I'm just going to ignore this and see what happens. It's like this test. And it's something you learn very early, that if someone says you don't have to do something, let's all act like we didn't hear them. And it's an easy political praxis. And it's also just effective. Children do it. It's so successful. But yet I think we think that resistance is harder than it is. And it seems hard because we're imagining things through a very Eurocentric perspective where you have to plan. What does the future look like? I don't care what the future looks like. I care about my now. And my now is not good, right? just like we can figure out ourselves in the now, when we get to the future, we can figure out ourselves then. So for me, when I say the Africanness of Haiti, it's in that kind of reasoning, right? It's this reasoning that says, I don't have to believe what you say. I'm going to be distrustful of what you say. I'm going to get together with people that think like me, and together we're going to imagine what we can do differently.
Wonderful. Thank you, Natalie. So we'll take some questions. I don't know how you want. Do you take the mic around or people just stand up? There's one, I see a hand. You could please stand because I can't see you.
Kupetet Buleka.
Kupetet Buleka, yes.
And I'm not Haitian, but I am African. Thank you very much. I really appreciate what I heard you say about your book. I'm in it. Just when I purchased it. My concern, of course, is what's happening in Haiti today and what's happening in the West to keep us from understanding what's happening in Haiti today. The media has just cut us off. I can find out more information about, well, you know what, in this world. Because the media doesn't tell you what to think, it tells you what to think about. So if you could enlighten us, if you know what's happening, or tell me where I can go to find out what's happening. That's what I want to know, what's happening in Haiti.
Oh.
Now, the other thing is, are you familiar with Sheroes, the Sheroes of Africa?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So you
I loved
understand
it.
who it is. Okay. All right. So my question is, what do we do in the diaspora to support what's happening or not happening in Haiti?
Ooh, that's hard.
Now, the first thing that I have to do is to transform myself so that I have enough guts to stand here and even ask you that question. Okay.
No, it's hard. You cannot trust any mainstream news outlet to give you anything valid about Haiti, because the project is to demonize Haiti. The project is to make Black resistance seem futile and Black liberation seem like an effort that no one should not invest in. Yeah, it's this madness, so if Haitians look impoverished, if Haiti looks like that there's always chaos, you are taught not to dream about Black liberation. You're taught to think that it's not possible. Now, being on the ground and knowing what's going on in Haiti, I can't help you with that. I'm not gonna tell you. I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't know how you can do that. I think what you can do is just to be critical of what you are given, and to help others learn to be critical of their ideas of Haiti and other Black places in the media, because there's a particular script to imaging Blackness, right? Black people, right? They are, especially if they're in quote unquote third world spaces, they're always seen as very loud. There's a way in which they are photographed and visually presented in an animalistic, unruly manner. And you have to invite viewers to recognize this is a way to dehumanize. This is a way to stop recognition. This is a way to see that their resistance is not legitimate. So if anything, you can teach them to decode how they see Haitians, how they see Africans in particular, because Haiti is always considered to be the Africa of the Caribbean, right? But I think that's the only way you can do it, is to help people to be critical about what they think about Haiti and how they're making sense of the images they're receiving.
Mm-hmm. I was going to add, though, as well, the idea of Haiti not wanting to be Haiti is used against Puerto Rico.
Yeah, everywhere.
It's used across the Caribbean. It's one of the blockages for certain kinds of organizing.
Yes.
Of course, Haiti, and then, of course, they put Cuba on the other side.
Yes.
Look at Cuba. If you do this, then this is what's going to happen to you. So essentially, Haiti is held there consistently. I know for a fact that it's used all the time whenever Puerto Ricans talk about independence from the U.S. So you want to be like Haiti.
Yes.
So the fact that Cesar used it is really fascinating, I thought, as well, because he ended up making Martinique a kind of semi-colony of France.
Not to be like Haiti.
Not to be like Haiti.
And
There
just
you
to say, we ended up like Haiti in a
Right.
different way.
In
I'm
a
like,
different
yeah,
way.
bro, y'all gonna end up colony. Like,
Right, another colony, yes. Another question, yes. Can you stand so we can see? Here, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Andy Solage, and I just want to thank you for writing this book. First of all, I'm part of the Diaspora as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so your book is going right alongside Jean Casimir's book,
Yes.
the Haitian
Yes. Yeah.
Decolonial History. This is I loved everything you said, because we need more of those books that take us beyond just Toussaint, Dessalines, Christophe, and so forth. And so, when I grew up hearing with the idea that we are Africans, right? So, that's all of us. Like, that's just part of being Haitian. And also, my elder relatives and so forth would talk about the heroes of the revolution, mainly focusing on Dessalines. Like, they would talk about, he hung 500 white men from the trees after they killed his brother. These sorts of stories. So then, as I got older, then I would read some of the, history that would complicate things. Like, well, did you know that Dessalines spent significant time working for the French? Like that when I was a kid, that part of the story was left out. Yeah. And all the other complexities, Sans Souci and Trio's book. So what I was wondering, because I'm thinking about some of my own experience, what has been the reaction from other Haitians, like when you're kind of complicating how we think of our figures, like, because for me, I still hold them in high esteem, but at the same time, there's the complexity where, so I'm curious.
Yes, so I tread carefully with family, and because Dessalines, in the United States, outside of Haiti, it's Toussaint, but in Haiti, it's Dessalines. Like, that's what we care about, right? Which is telling. They don't like to hear critiques of the heroes. The critiques of the heroes, it pains them because it's like you're critiquing them. Yeah. And what they will say is they are ancestors. So because they are now ancestors, you cannot offer critique of them. But I feel like we need to be clear that they have a hand in Haiti's political condition today, the choices that they made, right? I'm not saying that they're bad. They're great. Like, they did, they stepped up. Some of them are better than others. Like, why don't we do a gradation? We could do that, right? They're not going to do that at all. But I think they don't like us to critique. And I think they don't, and I get it, because Haitians can be very protective of Haiti because of the outside world. So I get from my family, to critique the heroes is to open the avenue for people to continue to slander Haiti. And that's not what I'm trying to do. So they're very, very, very sensitive. Very sensitive. Yeah.
Here's one right.
Thank you so much for your talk, Professor Leger. I really was struck by the comparison that you made, or the contrast that you posed between the habitant and the arbitant, between the sort of dweller and the worker. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, reminded me of the sort of criticism of another foreign caste taking over land, specifically in Europe. I'm thinking of Benjamin Constant, or rather the Abbé Sieyès, when he sort of also parodies the rulers of France at the time as merely German-born kings, Teutons who have swept down from the forests to steal the children of the French nation. And I was also I'm also thinking back to the first question that was raised, and the tradition of the French Revolution. So Abbé Sieyès, in posing that criticism, was trying to make sense of what were the political possibilities at present. Of course, he was heavily involved with the convening of the Assembly of France and the creation of the French Constitution, or the Declaration of Human Rights. So I'm wondering, how do you view your work as possibly opening a political criticism or a path forward in politics for Haiti today, or maybe those outside of Haiti? Thank you.
My work. Oh, big question. I mean, I don't think any Haitian politician is going to pick up this book and be like, hey, let us return to our Guinean roots. No, they're going to ignore me. But I think at the very least, I think with Jean Casimir's book, The Haitians, when I was writing my book, I did not have the language, like I was writing it, but I didn't have the language to make sense of what I wanted to say until I read Jean Casimir's book, which is to say Jean Casimir said what I wanted to say, but I felt like I couldn't say because then I would offend Haitians. Does this make sense? Right, Jean Casimir basically says, you know, our heroes are our problem. Our heroes did this, this, and that. I'm like, okay, someone finally said it. Now I can say it, right? So I don't feel like my book could open a kind of political pathway in Haiti proper, because there's a kind of revolution fatigue in Haiti. So it's not until, like in the 20th century, when you have all of these other books of the Haitian Revolution being written outside of Haiti, in Haiti there's 4 books that are written. And it's because political leaders will always use the revolution for their kind of partisan political gain, like for like issues. So they'll say, oh, in the tradition of Dessalines, in the tradition of Pétion, in the tradition of Sans-Souci, you know, after a while you're in Haiti, you're going to be like, you don't want to hear about, like you're proud, but it becomes this kind of political party trick, right? So the critique of the revolution is already kind of implicit because the present politiciens, right, the political dogs, I shouldn't say the politician dogs, that's what they're called, right, have made thinking about the revolution and its political traditions a kind of fatiguing, right? So I don't think my book can offer help in that way, because there's this like kind of long political tradition of using the revolution for gain in a negative way. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Well, also done by the Clintons
Yes.
as well. I mean, I was really surprised when I went to Haiti and saw that the Clintons, Hillary and in particular, did such damage after the earthquake. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of money and didn't use it to build what was supposed to happen. No. So this happened, and this is why she didn't get devoted in Miami.
Yes.
Because of that. So it's a whole other thing, another story. Yes, but there's a question. I saw another hand.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, my name is Khadija, and I wanted to find out. I wanted to pick up on this whole sense of Africanness, in terms of, are there certain aspects of what being an African is, of their Africanness, that the Haitians imbibe, or is it just generally, or do they see that they relate to certain people in certain countries?
Well, so I opened my introduction talking about how, I think it was in 2012, Haiti was put in the U.S. news outlets and Haitian news outlets that Haiti was included in the African Union. And everybody was like, absolutely, in Haiti, like, we are Africans, we should have been included. And I quote the Haitian ambassador to South Africa, and he's like, yeah, we should have been included. We taught you how to be African and how to be free. It was so Haitian, like, how dare it? It was, you know, Africans would be pissed. Sorry, Africans that are in this room. But for him, he was like, yes, Haitians should be included because we taught you what it takes to remain African among the West. And to remain African is to always resist and to be resistant on your own terms. So why wouldn't you include us Haitians in your African Union? Because we are your blueprint for being African amongst the whites, right? So that's the logic of being Haitian. That's the logic. We taught you how to remain who you are without being deferential to Western Europeans, right?
Fantastic.
So that's the framework.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, but the problem is always how to create that state, though, and that is going to take you further, and that's where you need a more representative leadership, including women. I've had a big check on my question on women following what happened in Venezuela with the woman giving the president her Nobel and all that. It's like the ultimate in degradation for women leaders. Anyway, there's a book, I thought the speaker who asked the question about the example, there's another writer, and I was looking for it as you spoke. His name is Robert Fatton, and it's called Haiti's Predatory Republic, The Unending Transition to Democracy. And this is a Haitian historian, so you might want to look at that. But I went, in fact, when he presented, I saw him do a talk and he presented it. I was very critical and I was thinking, wow, he's really being hard on Haiti. But he was looking at the fact that this question of leadership continues to plague Haiti repeatedly every time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions that we should raise without really idealizing what happened. Anybody else in the back? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Martin Yabo. I'm a freshman at Howard University. And thank you so much for speaking today. I've learned a lot. I just wanted to ask, what was your inspiration or the point where you realized that you needed this book on the market to kind of share your truth?
Oh, so I needed the book. I needed tenure. No, that was that, right? I needed tenure. The academic sinister. Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I felt like when I would read Haitian studies, Caribbean studies, Black studies, and post-colonial studies treatment of the Haitian Revolution, I felt like they got it wrong. And I felt like they got it wrong because they were they were writing about Haiti while absent, like while removing Haiti. So I was like, how can I create a type of framework where other scholars can write about Haiti using these texts that completely remove it from the conversation as they're writing it. Like, it's as if they're writing Haiti and they're erasing it at the same time, right? So I wanted to create a framework where they could work with the text, but see the way that Haiti and Haitians were pushing them to be more resistant against how the text was shaping how they could imagine a revolution and Haiti and Haitians. So I wanted to shift the perspective and encourage scholars to be more critical of how they were literally creating the context to be Eurocentric, while they were saying, I'm not being Eurocentric. I'm using the key terms of, I'm using decolonialism. I'm using, no, bruh, you're being very Eurocentric, right? So that was my aim.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question around, you mentioned Haitian cosmology.
Yes.
Would you be able to just kind of expand like that for folks who, well, I'm West Indian, but I'm not Haitian, and I don't necessarily know what that encompasses and the role that it played in the revolution?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a big question. That's a big question. So the role that it played in the revolution. So as you know, the Haitians that became, the Africans that became Haitians, they came from so many places. And they all didn't believe in the same demigods, gods, or the like. But what they did believe in was their freedom, right? So Haitian cosmology begins, scholars of voodoo argue, at the moment where the Africans come together and they collectively decide to be, how can I describe it? One of the ways it comes together was first by claiming Africa as home. Not just the home of this is where we were taken, but this is the celestial home. Africa is where I go to when I die, right? So instead of this idea of heaven and hell, the Africans who became Haitians said to return home is to return to a safe place. So when people died, they know they were going to Ginens, right? So in Haitian cosmology, death is a return to Africa, and it's also a return to your ancestors who have passed on. So Haitian cosmology resists the idea of a return to a place like a heaven that is not actually related to you. You always return to the past that can complete you, and the past that is Africa. Does that make sense? So by Haitian cosmology, it's always rooted in this notion of an Africa that you are grounded in. So one of the key principles of the loi, right, the demigods, they are in the embodiment of Africa. So the loi that Haitians have are, the good ones are African born, right? And by good ones, I mean, let me be clear about this. They came over and they experienced the Middle Passage, but they were never enslaved, right? So they give you the kind of cosmological framework to know freedom and ethics outside of bondage. The demigods that are born in Haiti are different. It's not that they're bad, but they've experienced bondage. So they give you the tools. This is the cosmological brief. They give you the tools to have experienced bondage and not become your colonizer, right? They both work together to give you the tools to return to Africa. And by together, I mean they give you the ethics. Like, it's about a principle and ethics of relation. So cosmologically, it's always about a return to Africa. And the only way you return to Africa is if you embody Guinea. And to embody Guinea is to embody an ethical relation to others, to community, to yourself. That's the only way you get to see your ancestors again. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by cosmological. Like, they were about, I want to see my ancestors. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I go to Africa. But they're not going to accept me if I act like these colonizers. Right? So, yeah.
Well said. Are we good? Anybody else? This was so lovely, and again, a rare joy to be able to be in conversation with somebody who was a student and has an amazing book. So make sure you get a copy of her book. We didn't talk about the decolonial imagination, but I think it's kind of, it ran through, it was all up in there. So we want to congratulate you and recommend the book highly, and make sure that you get a copy, and keep thinking and reading. And thank you, Sankofa, again.
Yes.
Did you
Thank
have
you.
to say anything?
Thank you for having me and for being here on a cold day like this. Yes. Thank you so much. Someone had a question?
I just had one other question.
Oh, okay.
Can you talk about Cecilia Fatima briefly?
Oh, Cecile Fatima. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, Cecile, okay.
And I'll add this. I am a voice to eliminate a word from our language.
Okay.
And that word is the only word in the English language that reduces us to a thing. And that word is slave.
Yes. I do not use slave. I use captive in my book.
Thank you.
Because
please.
the Africans were not slaves; they were captives.
We were
they were free people. Yes.
Africans.
To use slave is to continue to see ourselves through the eyes of the West.
Right.
They did not see themselves like that, right?
So I thank you so very much. And if I was younger, I'd marry you.
Okay.
Let's see how much money you have. You don't bring proposal without coming. I just came from Africa.
Oh, Cecile Fatima. Cecile Fatima was, now there's debate about this, but wait, Cecile Fatima. Well, she was supposed to have been the voodoo priestess. Yeah, she was supposed to be a Bwakaimash. She's supposed to be mixed race. There's so many details that we don't know, but what most people say is that she was a mixed race woman, a green-eyed woman, who was the voodoo priestess at the major ceremony that sets off the strategic planning for the Haitian Revolution. So she was there, Boukman was there, there was also an old African woman that was there, and they all got together using Haitian cosmology, and they decided to do a blood pact, right, with the pig to signal that every single individual here was going to be committed to the revolution, right? And I say supposedly because people argue she wasn't there, right? But people also argue that the ceremony didn't exist. But at this point, it's mythology, it exists.
And you mentioned Carpentier in the book as well.
Yes.
You do spend time talking about him, but we didn't get to talk about him here. But he is one who tries to engage that kingdom of the world very early.
He does.
But there's no women, I don't. Except
No,
the
there's
wives,
no women.
the wives.
Carpentier does not do women well. He does anti-colonial politics, but he's a bit of a misogynist. He doesn't do women at all well in any book. Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm sorry. I like him, but I'm like, man, do you talk to women? Anyway. Yeah, not good. Okay.
Anybody else?
No, we're good.
Ask a question.
Okay. Okay, thank you.